part is you, as the person under 21, have to provide proof that you can afford to make a minimum payment to the credit card company. Now, how are they going to monitor that? Provide proof. What kind of proof? A copy of a bank statement, a copy of a paycheck, or just merely filling out that says, I work on the New York Stock Exchange and I make $300,000 a year.
Right.
Do they have a call to verify that? No. So
and suppose they supplied a stub of their work for 40 hours.
That
doesn't
suffice.
That should.
Right.
And I guess the other side of that is, why wouldn't the banks who are issuing credit cards and trying to limit them, why wouldn't they just give a ceiling, a low ceiling, $2,500?
They should, yeah.
At least that gives them, as you were saying, an opportunity to start to build credit, which every young person needs to do at some point.
Also, the college campus, the banks are now prohibited from just going on a college campus and setting up a little kiosk. In order for them to do that now, they have to provide a reason to do it with the college. So if it's for purpose of marketing, they need to provide a reason.
What kind of reason could you provide?
That's the problem. That's the problem. It's very invasive.
Right.
But before, you can just go on a college campus and
Right.
you'd see kiosks or people sitting at tables
with
credit card applications, and they can't offer a free pizza or a free T-shirt. They can't do that anymore.
It used to be part of moving in day for freshmen was walk by the MasterCard or Visa booth and get the T-shirt or whatever and sign up for a credit card. Not anymore.
No.
Those who miss a payment,
Okay.
you mentioned something about a 14 or now a 21-day period that they have, that has to be consistent, right?
The bills have to be sent to you 21 days before, at least 21 days before the payment is due.
So you were out of the country, you didn't have your statement, for whatever reason you missed a payment. Let's not say you're a deadbeat, you just missed the payment. Is that now able to trigger the higher rate immediately for you having had an oops?
I would say yes, but like any individual, you have to be your best advocate. Get on the phone, call the company, tell them this is my oops, this is why I didn't do it, wasn't deliberate. I have a good payment history.
Right.
If they refuse, again, you can cancel the card, or if you want, keep the card, pay it at the higher interest, but as long as you pay it for 6 consecutive months, the bank or credit card company has to change the interest rate back to what it was before.
Is that new, Jackie?
That's part of the law. Yep. That's only providing you're paying on time for 6 consecutive months.
And if you've been a card holder, although this remains to be seen how they're going to work with it, but it's always been, if you've paid on time for 5, 6, 7 years, and however long you've had the card, and you've had a reason why it was late and it's not that late, traditionally they would waive the late charge and they wouldn't change your rate. So as Jackie says, be your own advocate and call and tell them, you know, I've been a loyal customer for this length of period of time. Don't charge me the late fee and don't change my rate.
Yeah.
And another anecdote tied to what you're saying, if someone has been tagged with a late fee and an interest, even for something that was wrongly charged to their credit card, apparently up till February 22nd, they were able to charge you interest and penalty even on that $69.99
They can't
balance.
do that anymore.
They can't do
cannot
it
charge interest on a late fee. They cannot charge interest on interest anymore.
Right.
That's no longer. It's almost like a compound loan, compounded interest rate. Yeah.
And in fact, I guess
Can't do that anymore.
when I was actually just dealing with this a while ago, I was just thinking, how many consumers have the presence of mind, the time, the energy to go through and watch where they've been tagged and why? And an example of something having been a mistake on the credit card party's situation, that the consumer was then hit, not once, but also a second time with the unpaid $69.99 and some portion of that being tagged again with interest and fees. It's good news for the consumer if they can't do that any longer.
Right.
That's right.
The bill actually has a lot of it was, as we said at the beginning, designed to protect consumers, and in many ways it has a lot of those things in it. There are some concerns. One of the concerns as a consumer might be if you like to use your credit card to develop the reward programs, how are some of these changes going to affect how credit card companies proceed with their reward programs?
Okay. And how are they, one wonders?
Well, again, that's one of those that remains to be seen. I'm not sure, having not been through the whole bill, but the query would be, if you are late with a payment and you've developed all these rewards, can they charge you a fee to reinstate the
No.
points?
No. No, they can't. But can they take the points away from you?
Right.
Yes, they can.
They can.
Yes, they
Right.
can. But an interesting point about that, related to that, is the over-limit fees. Anybody would know if you're over the limit, they're going to charge you interest on over the limit. Or if an interest charge on your card causes you to be over the limit, in the past, what the credit card company would do is they would charge you a late fee because the interest rate that they posted made you over the limit. Well, they can't do that anymore. They can't do that anymore. And in fact, if you are making a purchase that purposely not purposely, but you didn't realize that it was over the limit, the bank has to approve that. They have to approve it. You just can't arbitrarily charge something being over the limit. But the key part of the bill is, if you're at the limit, a $5,000 limit on your card, and every month they charge you interest on that, the interest is going to make you as the consumer go over the limit. In the past, they would charge you an over-limit fee, which is usually around $39 to $40, and sometimes a late fee if you were past due on the bill. They can't do that anymore.
That sounds like another good thing
Yeah.
for the consumer.
Yeah.
Now, with all of this, I understand that they are trying to, with banks anyway, try to make fewer risky business loans. That makes a lot of sense for the bank, for the consumer. But I also had noticed that there was a remark made that so many people are doing online banking right now. I understand that too, convenient and the rest. But the banks were saying that no longer do they have a relationship with people that they once did in the days of, what was the Christmas show? What is that? It's a Wonderful Life. So the banker would immediately know Joe and his family and everyone. So now there's not that kind of relationship. If there's not that kind of relationship and everyone is banking online, now does this mean that if you really need to be a consumer and think about home equity, your first car, your first home, your second mortgage, whatever it is, that you really need to rethink just doing all your online banking? Do you really need to go back and try to reestablish a relationship with bankers as they did 50, 60 years ago? Does that matter?
I think it does. And I think that a lot of the online banking you can continue to do without an issue because it's bill paying. Well, you didn't go to the bank to pay your bills before anyway. Pay your bills online. Do your transfers online. But make sure you get into the bank every now and then, bypass
Show
the
your face.
ATM and say hi to the people in there that you know and continue to have a relationship with them.
I think, as an aside, an interesting part of this bill, which is typical politics, they put a provision in the bill that's totally unrelated, which basically means it's for gun right advocates. Now you can carry a gun in public parks, whereas previously you couldn't. It changed that. Now you can carry guns. So
That was an
that's
important
typical
part,
politics,
yeah. That
slipping
was an
something
important
into
part
a
of this
bill that
bill.
shouldn't be there.
Interesting. Well, once again, we thank Jackie Grasso and David Bizarre from Odette Bizarre, Cordero Grasso Law Firm in East Providence. Hopefully you're more aware and a little bit better prepared for these wonderful reforms, and such as they are, help to the consumer and help to even to businessmen now who need to deal with credit. Next time we'll have our lawyers weigh in on, let's talk about business and people who are starting new businesses. Certainly, whether it's by default or by choice, many people do need to know about the forms of business and how to do business, and hopefully we'll have a little help. We thank you for listening, and the discussion of legal matters continues. And so I guess there'll be reform.